This video is how I produce photopolymer blocks for letterpress using Windows 10 and an Epson printer. I've already drawn out my artwork, full size A4. It's easier to do it large because when you reduce it down to the size you want it, your errors are reduced as well. I've scanned that in and I've got it as a file on the computer. Now within Windows I found a program called PowerPaint, which on the face of it looks fairly basic, but it does what you want it to do. So I go File, Open, and I'll open the scanned image. It does come out full size, not a problem, just knock that back to 25% and we now have a working image that we can work to. Now what I want to do is print some wording in there, reverse it so it's back to front, i.e. like a letterpress type, and then type it the right way around there. So first of all I go to Text, draw a box where I want to put the type. Another box turns up and you just type in what you want to put in. We'll alter it to Arial Bold, well it's Arial Black it's called on here, and we've got to do it 72 point because it still thinks that it's a large sheet of paper. Now while it's got little blobs around it, you can move the image around slightly to fit in exactly where you want it on the screen. Okay, that's fine. Now all we need to do now is to reverse the image to make that into type backwards. So image and flip. The drawback is it flips it completely. No problem, if you go back into image, under rotate you can turn it 180 degrees. We then have it the right way around to what we want. We now repeat the typing of the wording. And it's saved Arial Black 72 and we have it there. While that's there we can move it round to line it up, which is yes, fine. Now the last thing we need to do now is to invert that to make it into a negative. Once again, if you go into Image, Colour, Invert, we have a negative. I then save, and we'll save that as reversed. Close it. I then open it up under Microsoft Office. Under Edit Pictures you can alter the brightness and contrast. If you alter the contrast to the right, i.e. 100%, it does make it more black and white. The only other thing to do then is the old Control P to print. Sort out what size you want it. Best photo because you want it as dense as possible, and I do it as a matte paper and then it's print. While that's printing, I've got one that I printed yesterday as a trial run. The first problems you have with most printers is they won't print on OHP film. They tend to think that there's nothing there, so just stop. The way I get round it, and I think most people do this, is to attach a sheet of blank copy paper at the back with a 1/4 inch strip of double-sided tape, which you can just pull off afterwards. One thing you've got to watch when it's first printed is it will be very, very black and wet. So ideally you need to leave it 10-15 minutes for the ink to completely dry. You don't want to smudge. I think as you can see there, the image is, I hope you can see that, is good enough as a negative to make a polymer block. So the next stage in the process is to retire to the workshop where my block making machine is, which is only a basic one once again, Now you might find the film rather dull and a reddish tint. It's because obviously photopolymer material is light sensitive. It's, I think, about the same speed as the old-fashioned bromide paper, if any of you remember doing contact prints and enlarging with black and white. So I do work under a red tinted safe light. Going back to the PowerPaint program, I believe it was included in Windows 7, which is what this machine originally had. I took the free update to Windows 10, but somehow I managed to preserve that program. Now, it's not a powerful program and it doesn't do an awful lot, but it does exactly what I need it to do, i.e. reverse, type and turn positives into negatives. Now that's printed out there, another negative, as you can see, exactly the same, so we've got two of them. So what we'll do now is we'll switch off, have a break, and we'll retire to the workshop. This is stage 2 of the polymer block. It's take 2 as well. I did do it in darkroom conditions, which is what I said I would do. Unfortunately, when I went to edit the film, I couldn't see it. So I've done a shortened version, just cutting out the long exposure. So we're in the workshop, we have our plate maker here, we have a piece of old polymer, which we're going to use for this demonstration. We peel off the protective script, we get the negative, and place that on there with the emulsion side to the plate, making sure there's no air bubbles in there. On the exposure unit, close, pull it right down. Now I normally give an exposure for 4 minutes, 240 seconds. In this video I've reduced it considerably so you don't have to put up with me talking. After the elapsed time, we take this out and then we repair to the kitchen so that I can wash it out, which is phase 3, which will be on the next video after this one. We now enter the last stage of making our polymer block. We have our image here. We've pulled off the negative. You may actually be able to see where you can just see the image on the polymer. Immerse it in water, and with our nail brush, with circular motions, we just go round and round and round. This normally takes 2 minutes, but just like the exposure, it is subject to trial and error a little bit with each different type of polymer that you use. You can get the steel back stuff, which does seem a bit more robust, but that's usually used for hot foiling. All we're interested in is just the basic letterpress block. So it's just a matter of a circular motion, round and round and round. As I say, 2 minutes, but after a minute you will feel the image coming up. No, you won't be able to see it, but there is an image there already, and it's just a matter of not going too hard because you don't want to ruin the polymer that you want to print on. It's just the backing residue of the polymer that hasn't been affected by the ultraviolet lights of the block making machine. You get an idea because you can feel it on here, the depth of the relief of the print. Once you feel that it's there, and you can get a better idea by touching the pieces that you've washed away. If it's still sticky and tacky, then there's still polymer there, and therefore you need to do a little bit more rubbing. But if there is nothing else there, then you have reached the bottom. Then normally, as I say, normally takes about 2 minutes, depending, there, that is it. It's just a matter of a quick rinse in clean water. Just dry it very, very lightly, and then, providing you can get away with it, the wife's hair dryer dries it off very quickly. Then it's back to the post exposure. All that is putting it back into a UV power box, or as I said, if the sun was shining, you could use the sun for 10 minutes and that would harden up the whole image. Then cut round the surplus, double-sided tape onto your backing wood, and you can print, and that's it. And there's a finished article, the block mounted in a chase for printing, and the emblem printed on scrap pads as giveaways. If anyone's got any comments on how I can improve my artwork, I would appreciate them.